Alright, so before we start with this maintenance announcement, I need to confess something that I've seen before yesterday. So yesterday they released this Ray picture in the game, like they normally do with the silhouettes. But yesterday when I was looking at it, I realized something that really put me on edge, and I think I understand why some people didn't like this silhouette of Ray. So when I first looked at it, I couldn't help but realize that she looked like a fidget spinner. You can probably tell the silhouette over here with my mouse. It is a fidget spinner with cool details. I mean, either that or the worst possible scenario is that she looks like a dick, but I rather say fidget spinner because it makes more sense. Is this what being a dumbass sounds like? Because I feel like I'm just happy that she looks better here now. But anyway, hi, welcome to another maintenance announcement video, and today we're going to be checking out the new awakening that they just dropped for us today, which the characters in question are going to be Ronan, Ray, Dio, and Kane. And I just want to say right here that I love this picture right here. I don't know why they dropped Dio's hair down. They also gave him some demonic chest area over here. Like, holy shit, I did not know Dio was that buff, but I guess it makes sense because he is pretty good. Also, before I start, I really just love how they made Ronan in the middle of all this chaotic mess over here. He's just a normal human, and then we got two demons and chaotic bitch. But anyway, we're just gonna jump right in here, and I'm going to read everything about the maintenance announcement that we got today. I already read this on my own, and I already have a cheat guide here to help me out in explaining everything that's going to be dropping tomorrow or today by the time it's recording, because I always come with these stuff late. Without spoiling too much, this update is really interesting from what I'm seeing here. I wouldn't say it's better than the last one, but I still think it's really cool nonetheless. So before we start, I'd like to say if you enjoyed this video so far and like to see more Grand Chase in the future, we're more than welcome to leave a like, comment, subscribe, because we do Grand Chase content here on a weekly basis. And also here to remind us about the goal of this channel of reaching 1,000 subscribers before May 22nd. I know you guys will be able to help me out with that because you've already been showing me a lot of support, and I'm always thankful for all the support you guys have been showing to me. Whether it's a subscribe, a like, or a comment, I sincerely appreciate your guys' support through this small little channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's just jump right into the Grand Chase. Now, we're not going to look at this right now. I always like to look at the update as the last thing because it is like the big thing. So it's gonna jump into the events of the game. As you can see right here, the first thing we're gonna be getting is the good old attendance log as we always do. Not much change since the last time. It's essentially the exact same attendance log, but they did add a new event to this game, which is a bingo event. And how this works is, well, it's essentially like bingo. There isn't much to talk about it. It's literally just bingo. And how this is going to work is you're going to receive two different types of tickets during the event. One of them is the auto ticket, which allows you to get one random slot on the board. And the other one is the use select ticket, which as far as I understand, you will be able to select one of the slots on the board, and then it will basically help out making bingo a lot faster. And from what I understand, apparently you can only do 3 lines for every board, and for every line you make, you essentially get a reward based on how many lines you were able to do in that board. And then after that, it seems like the board is then erased, and then you will receive a new board on the next day of the game. And there are 3 different ways to get these tickets. One of them is through the daily event missions, so pretty usual stuff. Just log in for one day, defeat 20 monsters, or clear special dungeon 3 times, and you're able to get both tickets as well. The second way is through weekly event missions, which is usually the same, and I'm pretty sure it's the same one that we got for this one, which is just defeat 200 monsters, clear another world, and clear Abyssal Dominator 30 times. And the third way is apparently you can get 2 auto tickets for clearing levels like Special Dungeon, Harriet Dungeon, or Another World dungeons, and you can only get that 5 times. So essentially you can get 10 tickets if you do any of these things 5 times. And then what you get for every line you make on the board, you essentially get 3 different types of boxes. One of them is just called Bingo Lucky Box, which this essentially just gives you property scrolls or any other type of protection scrolls for stones. The second one is actually pretty interesting. It's a dimensional support box, which gives earring and piercing fragments. Now, I don't know how much they give you, but they give apparently at least 1 for each. And then the last one, if you get all 3, you get the void support box, which essentially gives you a fragment of each of the void levels basically for free, and then 500 GP coupon as well in the middle of it, just because we can. But then you also get rewards by how many times you finish a bingo board as well. Some rewards here that are worth mentioning. One of them is when you finish 42 bingo boards, you get an unknown pet box, which This goes for the Cordyceps as well. By doing 51, you get 2 single property scrolls, which is usual for some of these events, pet gems, and also a new costume called the Goon Cordy Select Box. And I, sincerely speaking, I don't know how to feel about these, but honestly, these costumes are either peak or comedy, so I will take this one as a little bit of both. It does look cool, some characters, I guess, but it's most likely on the silly level in that area. And then at this point in the update, the events kind of just repeat itself. Then the next thing we're going to be getting is Hyperspeed, as we all know and love, which is essentially just speed running to level 85. But for this one, it's for the 4 awakened characters we're receiving, so you can only do this with Ronan, Dio, Ray, or Dekane. Same thing for the awakening mission that is revolving around the 4 characters as well, which is also something we've seen, so I don't feel like it's important to be talking about this. Then the daily event missions are still going on as well, and I don't have anything against this because this event I personally think is not all that bad, as well as the weekly event mission, which is still the same as well. It's just clear another world, defeat Abyssal Dominator, and then special dungeon 30 times for single property scroll events. Here we got a new Cordy set called the Troublemaker, and it kind of gives me a school type of vibe Cordy set, which I think is pretty cool. Here's the pet attack as well. Dude just makes a selfie and then it hurts the enemy. That's pretty cool. Oh, he actually appears in the photo. That's pretty funny. And then we're receiving some Cordy returnings as well, as they always do. So for this update, we're going to be receiving Black Swan, Arson, which is a pet I haven't seen in a long time actually, Fallen Angel, and Leona. So if you enjoy one of these pets, or the visual as well, because all of these visuals are pretty cool, now is the time for you to grab them, if you can. Anyway, and overall that's pretty much it for the event. It's overall basically the same, except for now we're getting Bingo, which I think is pretty cool. It's a new event. But now we're going to talk about the characters update as well here, because this is the more important part of these updates. Though I just want to say it's pretty funny that they didn't update the pictures here. For instance, we still have Jin in here in the picture. I guess they really just got bored of Elysis, so it's now Jin's time to shine. And as usual for these updates, there's just a lot for me to talk about here because they add so much stuff into this. And I will make sure to leave this entire update in the description for those who would like to read on their own, because it's a lot for me to read here, and I wouldn't be surprised if you guys would rather read this for yourself than listen to me talking about it. But for the people who rather listen to me talk instead of reading for their own, lucky for you, because I actually made sure to note down the things I thought it was pretty interesting for these characters. So let's start with Ronan. Ronan actually got some pretty cool stuff. For instance, the first thing that they mentioned here is in the Aerodome mode, which now he seems to gotta get hyper armor once activated. Shout out to Ryan, which I guess inspired a generation here with hyper armor. First job actually got some things here that unfortunately I don't know how important that is for first job. I still haven't played with Ronan, believe me or not, so I don't know how good this sort of stuff is for the character, but I'll read it just in case somebody will know what I'm talking about and they're going to probably be going, holy shit, that's amazing, or something like that. I don't know. So for their additional combos, the unified attacks activated by inputting the X key during sword attacks as rune magic attacks, and then all attacks made during a sword attack activates the rune magic attack. And then additional chains can be made using double attack after rune magic attack. I'm reading this, I swear to god I have no idea what this is referring to at all. Unified attacks activated by inputting Z during rune magic attacks as forward stabs. All attacks made during a rune magic attack activates the forward stab. Then additional chains can be made using double attack after forward stab. And then they improve so that Z and X commands chain smoother, as they normally do as well for this sort of stuff. They always make things smoother and faster. That's basically how I can sum up the majority of these Awakening updates. I don't know how much this is significant for Ronan. For any Ronan May, you're more than welcome to explain to me how, because again, I still haven't played with Ronan, so I don't know how important this sort of stuff is, but I'm sure somebody will understand this more than I do. And then for Aerodome mode, the only thing here that is worth mentioning is that he gets a new double attack that wasn't there, and then the old double that apparently was in there, I don't understand what that means, it became the critical attack. For the second job, apparently all they've done here is just remove cooldown of some attacks in PvP with the Z and then a command forward, left, down, or upwards. And then for Aerodome mode, all essentially they did is just increase the attack range of Magic Spear, both up and down. So third job actually got something extremely funny to me. He's now getting hyper armor on their critical attack, combo attack, double attack, add dash attack, and the dash back attack. I don't know how busted this kinda is, considering how they specifically said that these now have hyper armor, but apparently this is only applied for a few seconds and only when a shield strike type attacks. So I think what this means is every time the Ronan attacks with his shield specifically, it will be considered hyper armor. Kind of a weird thing, but I think it makes sense, right? He's attacking with a shield and also it makes sense. They also fixed one little thing that is now able to make a critical attack after the first attack. They reduced the jump preparation time of the job, which I think it just means that he now jumps faster. They adjusted the rune flare to now have more damage, and then they make 2 charges that goes max up to 6. And then for the Aerodon sword and shield, they essentially made a buff that is applied for 10 seconds upon activating it, which essentially just give him 10% attack and hyper armor. And for the 4th job, I don't think much here changed. Essentially, the one thing that is worth mentioning is that Force Gather now hits enemies nearby Ronan. It then does chip lasts 4 seconds. Then they increase the explosion damage as well in the progress. Now moving on to Dio. This character receives some nasty stuff here, and I really need to talk about it one step at a time. Started off, they increased onrush damage. They've also buffed the marbles that Dio has depending on what path you go for. So now they activate it for longer, and it doesn't reduce when you're using skills. Although one thing now they're giving to him is a ready stance. The best way I can describe ready stance is essentially how 4th job Jin has it. When you press X twice, Jin stands in a position, and then whenever key you press afterwards, he makes an action out of it. For Dio, it seems like you only press it once, and then all of his abilities that he had before transform into command keys, very similar to what Rufus got for some of his skills, like his axe or his axe forward or his C. He's now getting that, but now you're able to do 4 commands. So for Dio's case, it seems like for some skills tree, very similar to what we got for Rufus, will become these command attacks for his X, and we will be able to apparently customize it as well depending of what command input that skill specific is going to be. So one thing that is also universal for every job here is that apparently when you do a double attack, they reduce the skill cooldown. They may try to write this down in every one of these jobs specifically, when they could have just made it into the first part here, but I suppose it's fine. It's not like a big deal or anything. So for the first job, the one skill that is now going to be into a command attack, if you're going for Devil Pose, is going to be the Death Star Uppercut. And for Weapon Pose, what we're getting for command attacks are Phase Edge and Flash Sword. 2 skills I think is pretty cool, I think. Though keep in mind that the cooldown for these are still the same. You still can use them every 7 seconds. So there is a little bit of a gap there, and I think it does also, oh no, never mind. It doesn't consume AP at all. I don't know why they say MP, they probably were in the automatic when writing this. For second job, they removed jump attack level 1, and then life keep has no skill condition. Before you used to have one, which I don't remember what it was before. I think you needed to have one of the previous skills of the second job, but now it seems like you can get this one for free. And for Devil Pose, the abilities that we're getting as commands are Rebound and Evo Shock. And for Weapon Pose, the command attacks we're going to be receiving there are Charging Star Type 1, Type 2, and Far Away. For third job, only Devil Pose seems to be getting a command attack here, and that's going to be Grip. And for fourth job, only Weapon Pose unfortunately got updates. It's the usual stuff for the Awakening update. There's not much for me to talk about here. Ray also received some pretty cool updates as well. One of them is specifically is that you now summon 2 random summonings upon the start instead of just 1. They can either be between Bastion and Jeeves or the Gargoyle and Haunt. For first job, they added a new critical and double attack for Ray combo. You know, the one when you just throw the balls and you cannot do anything. Now apparently you're going to be able to do a critical and then double attack, which to be noted, the double attack reduces Lay's cooldown as well, which is pretty good. She's also receiving a ready stance very similar to Dio. Oh, and also the run speed is now much faster as well, which it's always appreciated because I was taught she ran just awkwardly slower than usual. For second job, they are including stuff like Barrage into her command skill as well for XX up, and apparently the barrage cannot be destroyed in dungeons anymore. It used to be before if the enemy attack a lot of times, but it seems like now barrage is just indestructible. You can just use it whenever you want with these command inputs, which I think is pretty good to do as well, because barrage personally I think is a pretty interesting mechanic. Third job, they improved some skills here and there like the blockage and gray zone, and that's pretty much it. And the fourth job is unlocking a new dash combo that can be unlocked for free. And then the last character here is the Cunning. Unfortunately, she received a very similar treatment to AI. One thing that's worth mentioning here is that they improve dash during jump, and you no longer need a skill tree for that as a result. And the double attack now generates a gravity ball that can do continuous damage to anybody in front of it. And I think that's just pretty crazy to think about it. And that was pretty much it for the characters. One funny thing here that I actually noticed down here is that apparently they buff Ryan again. But it seems like to be something very small. Apparently they improved that players can cancel after a certain period of time when weapon switch is used midair as the Vanquisher. And I think what this is referring is if you try to switch midair, you just kind of get stuck. and now you can switch just fine. And then for Rufus, essentially they improved the transition between the Z basic combo and the X combo to be smoother, something that I actually forgot to mention in my Rufus showcase, that you cannot transition between the two of them, but now it seems like you will be able to do that. And then Soul Arbiter got more damage and the attack range as well. Pretty sure the Soul Arbiter is the C key attack, which I could be wrong with that, but either way, it's good that we're getting a buff for this as well. And yeah, overall, that's pretty much it for this event. Talking about the events first before I talk my opinions of every character, I really like the new event of Bingo. It's a different fresh of air, if I can say, because we've been receiving the same events every once in a while. So getting something new, even if it is just a casual bingo, I think it's a cool change of pacing as well. It's been a while since we even got like a new event for Grand Chase, so even if bingo, I think it's like extremely simple, I will take it nonetheless because it also looks pretty fun. And I also enjoy bingo, so don't at me. The rewards as well seems pretty interesting as well, with the scrolls and the fragments for earring and piercing, and the void fragments as well. Although I really just hope it's not just one for the dimensional support box, because we get 2 and 3 of these respectively by just playing the level 1. So getting one just doesn't feel like you're helping that much, if I can just give my opinion on it. I know this event goes until May 7, so you can get like about 30 fragments of it, but at the end of the day I feel like it should have been like maybe 2 or 3 instead of 1. One is just like too little for how many we still need to farm for these. And the rewards for the completion for every board I think is also pretty nice. Getting another free pet is pretty cool. The new costume is also pretty funny. Personally, I love this costume for how silly it is. Jin on it, I personally think it looks pretty funny, but I don't know why they included specifically the Goon. I feel like this would fit much better for Gorgo's Queen event, because everything related to Gorgo's was in that event, so getting like this Goon costume doesn't make sense to me, and it kind of makes me wish they would just give us that event again, or at least make it like permanent like some of the old events are. But at the end of the day, I'll take the costume as well because it's funny and free, and what else could you get from this? When it comes to the new Cordy, I personally enjoy how this one looks like. It just looks pretty nice. Although my main problem here is that I wish I could see the male characters a little better. Like Dio just covers the majority of the costume, and it's kind of difficult to see just on Ronan, unlike Dekane. Like Dekane can kind of get a grasp of it, but Ronan is a little bit difficult for me to understand. And the returning pets, I don't have anything against them. I personally really enjoyed them visually, so I recommend going for any one of the 4 because they are just pretty nice visually and effectively for the pets. And as for the character update, I think the character I'm more excited to play with is Dio, mainly because being able to do 4 command attacks for free for a character like Dio is like pretty good. This is already a good update for him that I'm really excited to see for myself. Then the second one's probably going to be Ray for me, because I also play Ray a lot, and just seeing some things mentioned here there really makes me excited to also play with her. Then Dekane, personally, she didn't got anything, but the black hole in front of her is pretty curious for me. And then Ronan, which if you don't know me, I don't play with Ronan. She's still at level 1, so it's hard for me to say I'm excited to play with him because I don't play with him. There's a reason for that, but I'll talk about that in his showcase. And overall, really happy for all of them. I think they got some pretty cool new stuff here and there, and I really can't wait to play with all of them, except for Ronan. And on that note, I'll leave the video here. Like I said before, if you enjoyed this video and like to see more Grand Chase in the future, you're more than welcome to leave a like, comment, subscribe, because we do Grand Chase content here on a weekly basis. And if you'd like to leave your thoughts about what you thought of this update as well, you're more than welcome to leave in the comments what you thought every one of these 4 characters are going to be amazing, or there's maybe something here and there that you wish could have been there but was not mentioned at all. You're also more than welcome to leave the comments there. I always like to read what you guys think about these updates as well. And if you want to just talk about the bingo as well, you're more than welcome to talk about it here, because it's a new event and I'm curious to see what you guys also thought about it. I personally think it's silly, but we'll take it as well, right? It's a new event, and I personally think it's not going to be all that bad. So yeah, on that note, we're going to leave the video here. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys have a great day today. Stay awesome, stay safe, have a great farm section today, and remember to not think about the fidget spinner. It's a sin, and if I made you think about that, I'm so sorry. See each other next time. Peace.